ever feel like things are so hard that it feels impossible to move forward, even to just put one foot in front of the other? I know I do, and that's exactly what we're talking about with today's guest.
I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step-family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this.
Hello, hello. I am so glad you're here. I don't know about you, but I feel like there has been a ton of stuff going on in these first couple of months of 2023. And I know for me that it feels sometimes like really overwhelming to try to balance all the step family things, all the work things, all the travel and other family obligations. And sometimes I get up in the morning and have my coffee and I really just want to go right back to bed. I don't know if you feel like that too, but I want to go back to bed and I want to just like fast forward until things are calmer. Today's guest, Michelle Wolfe, is completely in tune with that emotion. Michelle is the host of the Muve Forward podcast. She's an investor and she is founder of MUVE Life Activewear. After losing her mom to cancer as a child, Michelle decided to dedicate her life to learning as much as possible about how to live in a way that is both healthy and fulfilled. And she has made it her mission to inspire others to take time to slow down and get in tune with their body, their mind, and their soul so that they can also learn what it is they need to move through any challenge that they may be facing. And Michelle has done just that through her podcast, her amazing activewear line, and in her stepmom life. Michelle knows that when we can relate to other people and feel their heartache, but also receive the energy from their light, we can start on our own healing journey. What a lovely way to look at life, right? I'm so excited to talk to Michelle. I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. And can I ask you a little bit of a favor? If you do enjoy this interview and if you enjoy episodes of the Stepmom Diaries podcast, can I ask you to just go to Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a rating? Would love 5 stars, but really would love a rating so that other stepmoms can find us and get access to all the amazing experts and advice that we offer here on the podcast. So with that, let's jump into our chat with Michelle. Michelle, I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Cameron. This is exciting. I love talking, and especially with new, amazing podcasters like yourself. So thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. I've introduced you and you are a stepmom, and obviously want to get to some of the work that you do, but I always love to hear my guests, I call them stepmom stories, but like, what's your origin story? Like, how did you become a stepmom? Tell me all about it.
Ooh, this is a great question. I actually remember the day that I met my partner, and I think he was shy to say that he had a daughter. He had a picture on his phone, and he first told me that it was his niece. And this is when we literally just met. And it was like this was years ago, and we were partying, and just he's like, oh, this is probably nobody, kind of thing. So why should I tell her? And then it was a couple days later where he's like, I am so obsessed with my daughter and I am so proud of her. And I need to tell you that it's my daughter, not my niece. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. That's totally fine. So that I remember that and not really thinking much of it. But when I was a little girl, I used to always think that I would actually be a stepmom. And I never thought of it as a stepmom. I just thought I would meet someone who has children. I had that like idea in my head, and years go by and I figured out why that was so important. And it's because, so personally, I lost my mom to cancer when I was 8 years old. And I never had a role model or a great stepmom step in. My dad has a partner, but we are just not that close. We were just two very different people. And unfortunately, she wasn't involved with my life very much. However, my stepdaughter lost her mom just a couple of years ago to cancer as well. She was 7 at the time. And so when that happened, it all just clicked and made sense. And I thought, okay, this is what I am meant to be here for. And here we go, like buckle up. This is the time. So I became instant mom at that time. And I'm just so grateful because she likes me. We get along. And although we've each had similar traumas, it's been a lot of healing and a lot of growth. So I'm very blessed to have her in my life.
Oh, that's amazing. And so wonderful that you have that. I mean, it's not a wonderful shared experience because obviously no one wants to lose their parent, but it is so wonderful that you have that shared experience together, that you can sort of talk to her about like the emotions and the things that kids go through losing a parent at a young age. Like how wonderful for her to have you to be able to go to with what she's feeling about all that.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been, I think, also really great for me because I've been able to heal a lot of my past traumas, and understanding maybe where a lot of them come from because I see them coming through her. And it feels really good knowing that me, as pretending as if I was still my little girl, my younger self, I'm able to give her what I didn't have. And it feels so rewarding knowing that I'm able to help her and be there for her. Like today she just went on her first sleepover couple of days with a school ex-scavenger event thing. They went camping, her and her classmates,
So
and the
fun.
school. Yeah, a big coach bus, and there was about 50 of them. And it was the first time that she's been away from me or my partner for overnight. And I'm just like so excited for her. And he had to leave. You know, he was crying. He was upset. He had to leave without her seeing him have his tears. But I'm like, I'm the strong one because I had to do it as a kid on my own. I didn't have anybody there. So I am like a tough, woman who is excited for you to have this adventure. And I think it's really helpful because she feels that confidence that I have in her. Like, I know you can do it because, man, I did it. I did it alone. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had a massive, amazing community. But having that mother figure in the house, I was alone. And so I know you can do this. And she feels that. And it feels really powerful knowing that I'm able to give that to her, such a shy, quiet girl that she is. So I just feel so grateful knowing that I'm able to give her things that I didn't have,
Well, and it's so great to be such a positive role model in her life. I mean, I have a similar thing with my stepdaughter, just in terms of shared experience. My husband and his ex have a very high conflict relationship. And my parents got divorced when I was about 9, and they had a very high conflict relationship afterwards and lots of drama and all that kind of stuff. So it has given me the ability to have conversations with my stepdaughter about, hey, look, I've been there. I know it sucks to like have all of this conflict. And I think it really helps for kids to be able to have someone in their life that isn't a full-on parent, but that understands exactly what they're going through. So it's wonderful. It really is.
Such a bonus. See, and I love that. Like, my story is so unique and people find that so interesting, but like, I'm hearing you and I'm like, how amazing is that you can be that person that's been through it. And especially as a child, like, I think when you're a child, you see the lens of that story differently than you do as an adult.
Differently.
Yeah. So you can look back and be like, you know what? I get you right now. I feel your feels. It's
Totally.
so deep. And I think we've all been there when we can relate with somebody who's been in a similar situation. You just feel at ease because you're like, oh, you get me. You see me. You hear me. You understand. Like there's something so valuable about that. And I think this whole stepmom world is such a faux pas. Like everybody thinks it's like such a bad thing, or there's all this conflict and trouble, but on top of that, there's just so much blessings and so many other wonderful aspects to our own personal growth that I think is so undervalued. And I just feel so blessed knowing that we can help these little individual humans at the best of our ability, if we choose to, right? If we choose to be that specific individual who is willing to be a good person in their life.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's funny, hearing you say at the outset, that when you were younger, you kind of envisioned ending up with someone with kids because, I always say to my clients, well, I know as a little girl, you don't dream of growing up and becoming a stepmom, but it kind of sounds like you might have.
Yeah, it's so wild. And it's when I met my partner as well, I had these like visions or like feelings that it wasn't about him, that it was about his daughter and about his ex. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm meant to be in their life. And so then when it happened, when she got cancer, first of all, I was like, oh, this all makes sense. Like I totally get it now. Yeah, it's really, really bizarre. Really bizarre.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. And, it is such a unique opportunity to be, to have this relationship with stepkids that's so different. So, we always talk about in the stepmom world, how when we've had, as stepmoms are, we call it bathroom floor moments where, things have gone badly for whatever reason, and you find yourself on the bathroom floor, sometimes with a glass of wine or whatever, in a moment of total despair. Have you had that as a stepmom?
Yeah. But mine is not typically the bathroom floor. Mine is typically the car. I will leave and go to my car. And I had, throughout the pandemic, that is when I decided to move in full time, sell my condo, move in full time with my partner and his daughter. It had been not quite a year since her mom had passed. So it was like, so much transition, like bing, bang, boom, happening all at once. And I remember not knowing why that I was upset or that I was angry or confused, but knowing that, you know what, I will tell you one thing. I used to always think that she was like a spoiled little brat, and she's not. But in my head, I mentally kept thinking like, suck it up. You're fine. If she would be upset, or if she had to do something and she didn't want to do it, or, I just used to get really frustrated and really angry. And I wasn't able to verbalize it because I know she's such a good kid. And I knew there was something going on actually inside of me. I'm like, why am I having these thoughts about her when she's actually a really good kid? I know that it's got to be something more. So yes, many moments in the car, I would call my friend and being like, what the F did I do? What am I doing here? I don't know what to do. Like, this is crazy. And then the next minute I was fine. It was like twice a month it would happen. And I'd be like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep coming to my car, freaking right out. So I actually started seeing a therapist for trauma therapy. And it turns out that my younger little self had to figure out life. And so when she was acting in a certain way, so like when my daughter right now, when I would do things for her, give her food, give her what she needs, provide for her, and she says or gives me like nah, I don't want to do that, or do I really have to clean up the dishwasher, like things like this, I used to think, you spoiled little brat, you don't even know how bad you don't have it. You don't know what I've been through. And so I was putting my own shit on her. Am I allowed to swear? Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. I get really passionate about it, right? Because I had so much built up anger. So I actually did this trauma therapy, which was incredible. And I was able to unpack and realize that it was my own self speaking to my own little girl, being like, you have to be okay. You have to do these things, or like, you need like to survive. If you can't survive, you die. And so I learned that it wasn't her. It had nothing to do with her. It was her showing me what my little self, baby self, needed to heal from. And so now that I know that, I'm like, oh, she's not purposely saying no because of anything wrong here. She just needs to learn. She's just a little girl. And I can speak to her like a human being and teach her these things rather than judging her as if she's not good enough, which I was doing to my inner child.
I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I think that any stepmom out there that's struggling, I always tell them, get a therapist. I think that's like the best thing you can do. But I love that, you were able to sort of take your experiences and figure out why you were reacting the way that you were reacting, and, take that. And it sounds like you've done that in your work. So tell us also a little bit. So Michelle has got a really neat focus in her career and her coaching practice. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do. She works a lot with wellness, and it's really fascinating.
Yeah, sure. So I've been basically obsessed with health and wellness since I was young. Obviously, my mom passed from cancer, and I just had this idea of like, why did that happen? What could it be from? And a lot of it stemmed from stress or built up, feelings that we're not able to express, food, all the things, right, that can cause stress on our bodies. And so my whole life has been about creating a life of wellness, creating a life of feeling good, and also inspiring others to feel that way too, in whatever state you are. And so I started a podcast called Muve Forward. And so I have these conversations similar to like what you're doing right now. And we talk about life struggles. And I was a massage therapist. So I've done that stuff. I retired from that. And I'm now actually the proud founder of a activewear line called MUVE Life. And so it encompasses all of that. I love sharing about health and wellness, but then also love inspiring people to continue to move their body, continue to be inspired by movement. And that can mean many things. That can mean meditation. That could mean, just swaying, walking, yoga, whatever that may be, but doing it confidently and also doing it while wearing comfortable clothing, right? Because I think a lot of us, we don't realize that what we wear and how we look to ourselves is one of the biggest things that we can do for our self-confidence. So I think it's really important to be in clothing that you feel good in, and to be able to move your body comfortably in whatever state you are in. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. There's a lot going on, and it's so much fun, really just continuing to live my life, focusing on health and wellness of what that looks like for me, and also helping other people try to figure out what is it for them. Because I really do believe that it's different for all of us.
That's so true. And, one thing that I focus on a lot with stepmoms is the idea of self-care and taking care of yourself from that kind of a similar, perspective of, keeping yourself well. But it's more than just, look, I love a good, lavender smelling bath or whatever, going to get a massage. But self-care is so much more than that, right? It really is sort of this holistic approach that you're talking about of wellness. And that's so important, I think, especially for stepmoms. And it does look good. Look good. It does look different for everybody, right? And it's, there's this, I was talking to somebody a month or so ago about the self-care industry. And there is this kind of, I don't know, what is it, 14 or $15 billion industry that has sprung up around the sprays and the oils and the, foot rubs and all that kind of stuff. But that's not really getting at self-care. It really is kind of, to your point, being able to figure out what it is that can calm your mind and, what works for you at a deeper level. And I love the idea that you've kind of created this line of clothing to help people get into their kind of confident spot to do that work, right? Did you see an increase in people wanting kind of more comfort in their lives during the pandemic and more comfortable clothes? I know that the way that I dressed completely changed over the pandemic. And like, I have a whole closet of heels that I basically just don't even wear anymore. And I'm wearing a lot more activewear and comfortable kind of clothes, exactly like, and I was going through your website yesterday, and it's amazing. And for anyone listening, we will put a link in the show notes so that you can go and check out her line, because it looks fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So unfortunately, I did not have the clothing line up and running until shortly after the pandemic kind of was like the boomer of it. So I missed out on that rush of what I know people were like full on, let's wear leggings 24/7. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people are still sticking with that because they're feeling like, let's wear comfortable clothes. And it's cool because you can wear comfortable clothes that also look really stylish. Like I wear my leggings everywhere, even like my bras. I wear them with my fanciest dresses because they have a beautiful crisscross at the back. So if I have no back, it's like it shows it off and it's really sexy, but really comfortable. Like I'm not interested in wearing underwire bras ever again. Like I'm talking, I don't ever want one again.
I totally hear that and respect it.
Right. So yeah, so I never saw an increase there, but I mean, personally with people purchasing, obviously, because I didn't start the business until this past August. I believe it was August that I actually first launched. But I definitely saw it online. So it's definitely there. And I think that was probably a motivator for me as well. I'd have the idea for like 10 plus years of starting this. And again, it comes back to like all the learning that I've done through even being just a stepmom. I think these past couple years of becoming a full-time stepmom have really, really amplified who I am because I've been able to take a look at who I am. Like I said, I stepped into this healing of my own by doing the therapy. I've really I've really learned to listen to my body. And that's a lot of the healing that I talk about is like listening to your body. And I teach this to my daughter as well. It's like, what do you actually feel? Like, if you pay attention to what you feel, you're going to learn so much about yourself. Like, when you feel like, for instance, if we think about like health and wellness as a way of like, when people feel constipated or full or like uncomfortable, it's like, well, are you listening to why? Like, if you actually pay attention to how you feel, maybe you'll trace back to like, where did that come from? Let's not do that again. Or like, how can we help that? So that's where and how I like to live my life. But I also want, and I get so passionate and excited about teaching that to my daughter. Like I get to be the person who helps teach her these things, And although I'm not her blood mom and that she learned so much before me, my God, what she has learned in the past couple of years is massive. And I hear it in her voice, the way she speaks and the things that she says. And it's because of I've been able to teach her that. So I've had an impact and I want nothing more than to better myself. And when I better myself, I am making her a better human because she is seeing and hearing what I am doing. So that's why I know so many people go back to like how we need to take time for ourselves and how it's so important to, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that because when you do, they actually get a benefit from it as well in such a big way. Like it's just like mind blowing. So if you ever at all are upset with yourself or are unsure about taking that time for you or like figuring out what you need, please do not hesitate. Like today is your day to learn that you need to put yourself first. You need to actually go do that class that you've been dreaming about, whether it's pottery, whether it's horse riding lessons, whether it's a workout. Like you need to go and do these things because when you experience these things and when you continue to live life, you are bettering yourself. You are growing as an individual. And then that gets translated to everybody else around you. So
I love that. It's
Little
sort of like
rant.
the principle of, I always talk about control. Like as stepmoms, it's hard because so much of our lives are out of our control and our circumstances. And so taking that little bit of control back and like reclaiming it and saying, okay, this is what I can do. This is what I can do for myself, you know?
Yes.
And I love the idea of paying attention to the emotion underneath your reaction. I mean, I think that that's so important, right? Like when you can say, you know, like your example before about, you know, oh, well, she's just being a little brat and she's so spoiled. And why is she acting this way? Like thinking, okay, why is that triggering me? Why am I having that reaction? And when you can kind of figure out, you know, the why behind it, then you can figure out if that's an appropriate reaction or not. Maybe she really is being a
Totally.
brat, you know, but maybe she's not.
Yes. No, she wasn't. She's not. Like, yeah, she doesn't do as many chores as what I would like her to do. And we're working on that. That's something to do with her father
Welcome
and the
to the
way.
tween years.
Woo! Yes, tween years is
Yeah.
great. She's 11, so yeah, we're in there. But I want to bring up one thing that happened yesterday that I feel like would be a really good conversation, and it's we were talking about the way that so I'm teaching her to be kind, right? I'm teaching her when you're on a conversation, like to reply back to the person if they say, hi, how are you? You don't just respond by good. You say, good, how are you? Right? Like things like this. And my partner got a little bit hesitant, like, don't try to change her, let her be who she is. This is how my family was. And I'm like, yeah, but is it right? Is it right to not care about other people? Is it right to teach her to be a kind individual and to engage in this conversation with a question and with caring about these other people on the other side? And so I was about to like lose it and be like, you're crazy. Like, this is why I don't have a relationship with a lot of your family members, is because they've never asked me one question. They don't care about me. Right. And if they don't care about me, if they don't ask me questions, how do we connect? How do we learn about these people? And so I got really defensive, but I left the room for a minute and I just thought about it. And I thought, like, where is this coming from? Right? Like, I want to raise a good human. And yeah, I'm the step parent, but like, I can't go on with my life knowing that I'm raising a child who isn't going to respond and care about people in the way that I feel is respectful, right? Like, how do I teach an individual that when the other parent, who is the blood parent, isn't agreeing with me in this moment? So I thought about it and I was like, okay, how can I speak to him in a way that he gets it? And it's funny because he does this at work. We call it playing the game. It is actually just being a kind human, but we say playing the game. So caring about a person, asking them questions about themselves, you know, reaching out to them, seeing if they're okay, bringing them a Christmas card, actually knowing what their name is and using their name. So there's these things that he does at work that have helped him amplify to become higher up rank in his profession. And I said, do you see how these things are helpful and how they work in your work life? Well, they work in everyday life, right? And this is why we teach our children when they're young, not just when they're older and trying to figure it out. Like, now you're almost 50 and you're just figuring this out. I'm like, maybe there was a lacking there. Maybe your family missed that to teach you. And maybe we can teach her earlier so that her life is a little easier and so that she has more connections with people. So it's funny how, you know, when we're in a relationship with somebody and how we have disagreeing ideas of how to parent, it's crazy. But for me, not reacting is probably the best decision because that just gets everybody angry and more upset. So I literally remove myself and I gather my thoughts of like, okay, where is this coming from? Why is this important to me? And how can I make my partner really get it, really understand that this is actually a benefit for her, not for me. This is for her. And so I've found that to be very helpful. And I'm sure you've been through similar situations.
Absolutely. But that's such a great tip to kind of take a minute and walk away and really think about why it's important to you. Because, and also, I mean, it sounds like you really understand the best way to communicate with your partner. And so you take a break and then you come back in, you say, okay, this is why it's important. And this is how I need to communicate it so that I get my point across. And that's something that I think a lot of couples don't always put the time into figuring out about each other. And I know Craig and I have had a lot of conversations about like how we receive information and, the assumptions that we make. It's really easy, right, in a relationship to make assumptions about what the other person means or what they're trying to say. And I know like we've had a couple of times where we've gotten into like just a humongous blowout fight. And then at the end of it, as we're sort of starting to like talk things through reasonably, realize that we both had assumed like the complete opposite of what we had meant when we had said whatever we said, And it's so
Totally.
common, right? I think everyone listening can probably relate to that fight, It's
Totally.
like,
I think
but
it's
the
one of the
idea,
biggest. Sorry, yeah, I think it's one of the biggest reasons why couples don't last is because they don't know how to communicate, right? And if we don't know how to communicate, how are we going to raise a good human?
Exactly. And I love that you're kind of teaching your stepdaughter how to do this too, and to be curious about other human beings, right? Like it's, we're here to love and get to know. And I love the idea that you're kind of passing that on to her to, ask questions. And it's one of the first things I actually noticed about my husband, and something that drives me crazy at times because he wants to know everything about everybody that he comes in contact with. And so like we'll get in a taxi and he'll start asking the driver questions about himself and where'd you come from? What's your, da da da. And then like we're getting out of the car and I'm like, we've got to go. You can't keep talking to this person that you just met, but every time I get aggravated with it, I stop myself because that really is something that I love about him. He's genuinely curious about everyone he meets,
See, isn't that funny? We think that it's like a problem, but yet if you really get to the core of it, it's like, why is he doing that? Like, what's the importance of it to him? And maybe we could let him do it and be okay with it, knowing what the actual like reason of why he's doing
knowing
it.
What his why is. And,
right.
And that's really maybe a great quality in a person, and like appreciate it for that and not get so annoyed,
Well, can you imagine being in a family where they've never asked you one question about yourself? Like they literally know nothing about you. Can you imagine that? Yeah,
I
not
cannot.
fun. It's crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. Like, how can you? And that's what I'm dealing with, right? And Neil's mom is amazing. Like, I love her. She's so sweet. But like, I don't think she even knows that I have a clothing line. Like, she's never asked me once about it or what it like. Nothing. And it's the way that they were raised, right? And I will not have my daughter, who I'm raising, grow up not knowing about people and not caring about like what they're doing. I can not answer. I can choose to not answer if you ask me, but at least ask. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
give you the choice to answer. Yeah, exactly.
Let's just care a little.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So before we finish, one last question. Like you do all of this work in wellness and health and I think in confidence too, right? Like you've got this really great way of looking at the world through an optimistic lens and, focusing on kind of how people can be their best selves. For the stepmom who is listening right now, who is really struggling and really just sort of looking at all of her circumstances and saying, oh my God, how do I do this? What's your piece of advice for her?
Such a tricky one. There's so many things I want to share, but I think the biggest thing is get outside of the situation and just focus on yourself, right? Like when we're so lost in all of it, like when it's just piling up and we're confused, we don't know what to do. Maybe things are not working out the way you want them to do. Maybe your relationships are not the way that you want them to be. We can't fix it overnight, typically. Like typically it does take a lot of time. And so I find that when you focus on yourself, right? Focus on bettering yourself, right? You go to therapy if that's helpful, or if you're not doing that yet. You might not know that it could be helpful, but just try it. Or if you can't afford that, or if that's not available to you, then maybe talk to a support group or find a new modality that you're obsessed with. Like I mentioned earlier, you could try a craft or a new career, like a side hustle. For me, I have a side hustle that I'm so passionate about. It wakes me up every day and I get excited about that. I focus on that rather than focusing on what's going through my head about how my partner doesn't want to necessarily parent the same as I do. I'm very lucky. He does for the most part, but I know that not everybody lives that way, right? We all have our own struggles. So I think that's the thing. Get out of your head and just go do something else and focus on something else that actually drives you and excites you. It gives you energy. And when you are feeling good, when you have energy, when you are feeling just alive in your body and in your life, that is going to carry on into everything else that you do. So people are going to see that. They're going to feel your energy rather than feeling your anger and frustration. They're going to feel your happiness and your excitement. And it might not make everything perfect right here, right now, but I can guarantee you it's going to improve something. And then the next day, something is going to improve and continue on from there. So definitely focus on you rather than the problem.
I love that. I love that advice. And I know I feel more energetic just hearing it. Where can people find you?
Sure. So you can find me, my social media, Instagram is the Michelle Wolfe, Wolfe with an E. And then I also have my activewear line, which is called Muve Forward. Muve Forward is my podcast. So you can find me there as well. The Muve Forward podcast is on Instagram or on all the spots where you can find podcasts. It's just Muve Forward. And Muve is spelled with a U, M-U-V-E. And then also MUVE Life is my activewear line. And come check me out at movelife.com and come see all the fun, beautiful clothing that I have. And I truly created just like this comfortable and soft, like high-waisted, long-waisted bras, I love the cuts. I love the feels. And I'm so excited to share it with the world.
I love it. You can tell you're slightly passionate about it. And it really is a beautiful line. I will drop all of your links for social and for the website and the podcast and everything in the show notes so that people can find you and get a hold of some of those comfortable clothes. So thank you so much for being here. This was so fun. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the conversation. I love talking about this stuff. So sending so much love to everybody who's listening too, because I'm sure people are in a spot where they are struggling and where it's not easy. And I just promise you that there is light and it is coming. So continue to focus on yourself and it will come.
I love that. Thanks.
That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.